Hey, we overcoming adversity, doing it at all costs, making wins at all loss. Yeah, the world is all lost, yeah. Ain't no turning back, we headed straight for the stars, yeah. Oh yeah, we overcoming adversity, doing it at all costs, making wins at all loss. Yeah, the world is all lost, yeah. Ain't no turning back, we headed straight for the stars, yeah. Oh yeah.
Welcome to the Overcoming Adversity podcast, where we go real deep into some tough conversations, topics about some real life stories about overcoming adversity. It's all about breaking the bottle that leads to transformation and that leads to being resilient. Before we get started, make sure you like, subscribe to our channel, because you never know, the stories that we're going to talk about can make an impact in some people's lives. I'm your host, Michael Allison, and I've been through my own fair share of adversities. Today, I want to welcome to the show my good friend, Dr. Faith. She's a retired oral maxillofacial surgeon who has left the private practice for over 20 years. She's now a life transformational coach, author, educator, mindset coach, and a chaplain. Her latest endeavor is launching Elevation N.O.W, Women's Empowerment Program. And you could also find her on social media at Speaking by Faith. Let's welcome to the show my good friend, Dr. Faith.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. Honored to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, Dr. Faith. You know that we've been speaking a long time about the show, and it's been a remarkable journey for you and me, just seeing your journey and seeing us coming together in regards to the programs that we've been through, some of the stages that we've been on, and some of the platforms that we've worked with. And I've just been thoroughly impressed about you. And I wanted to have you as a guest on this show to like help empower some of our people, inspire them, and share your story.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So let's get into it. So if you would tell me a little bit about your background and how you grew up.
Wow. My background. I'm from Dallas, originally from Dallas, Texas, born and raised, and lived there all my life. I didn't leave Texas until I did my residency program in Washington, D.C. But I grew up the youngest of, at last count, it was 9. Just to let you know that, Papa was a rolling stone, as they say. So, but I was the youngest, and that came with its fair share of adversity, just being the youngest in my family and being kind of, I call myself the black sheep. My family hates to hear that word, but I was the darkest. And again, my sisters, they were the light skinned ones with the long hair. So that led to me having some self-esteem issues as a child. So,
Mhm.
but growing up, Mama was my rock. She was my rock. She was my positive role model. And my father, different story. So, like everybody has that story of how they grew up. Yeah, I have my own story in the household, definitely.
I know that it could be tough growing up when you have a tough childhood. I know that you grew up in a poor family and that affected some of your upbringing. And my mom, speak about that. Like my mom, she was the rock for our family, and my dad was the one that was always out working and things like that. So, regards to like a dad always in the home all the time, that was not so present. But I did understand his role.
Hmm.
I wanted to get into, if you can, tell me how did that shape your perspective on life growing up, where you grew up at, in regards to where you're at now today.
Oh, wow. Well, like your mom, again, my mother was the rock of my family, and a lot of the positive things in my life I got from her. And I didn't understand growing up why she was pouring so much into me as at a young age. Like at 10, she was teaching me about saving and finances and pouring into me, into my self-esteem. I didn't know that I wouldn't have her in my life for very long. She passed away when I was 23, and I was still growing into
Mm.
womanhood. So, but that explains why she would take me under her wing and teach me so much. She was that positive aspect of my life that I needed because my father, and bless his heart, he did what he could do in the capacity that he could, but he had a drinking problem. So he was abusive. He was verbally abusive and physically abusive. So my mother was that where he was so negative, she was that light that we needed in our family. And that is what I took from my growing up. I had to kind of just distance myself from all the negativity and stay focused and really just be the person that my mother spoke over me and do the things that she said that I was capable of doing. She said, you don't have to marry a doctor, you be the doctor. So she planted those seeds early on in my life. That's what helped me when I moved away from home at 18, and I never looked back.
Wow. Wow. Well, that's totally inspirational because leaving at 18, I know that's a challenge
Hmm.
to go out on your own, and that's a bunch of resiliency you had to build up in yourself.
Hmm.
I do want to get to this question about your dad. So, what type of like coping mechanism were you like dealing with or doing or going through or doing important into your life when it came to dealing with your dad, as you said he was maybe an abusive type of father?
I loved my dad. I always wanted him to love me like I saw him love my sisters because
Mm,
I just looked different. And I always wanted to please him. But in the same instance, I was afraid of him because of his violence and his verbal abuse. And just to be candid on here, because I know that some people deal with this, growing up, I heard nappy head, dirty bastard so many times till I thought that was my name. That is what he would call me all the time. But I still wanted to please him. I still wanted to make him proud of me. And so, one instance, and I'll give you this example. I always made good grades, and I would take him my report card and show him that I had made straight A's. And this is what he said to me. I was 10. I'll never forget it. He said, "Baby, I'm glad that you're making these good grades." He said, "Because in life, your two sisters, doors will open for them just because of the way they look. Those doors won't open for you. So you always be smart." So I didn't take that as a negative because sometimes what the enemy means for negative and means it for bad, God will turn that thing around and make it good. So
absolutely.
and so I took that as okay, use my brain power, use my brain power. So that propelled me into always being educated, always making good grades, going further, going farther. And again, you know what he was saying, but again, I used it for positive to further my education. So that was just one example.
It sounded like you had a tremendous growth mindset at an early age
At an
because you could
early
have took
age.
that and completely went south. They say it's power in the tongue, so you could have easily let what he said manifest it and went south. I applaud you for doing that. The next question I wanted to ask you was that being that your dad said some of these things and did some of these things, how did that affect your relationship when it comes to like either dating, or how did that affect your relationship when it was coming to getting married around men? To include like your professional career, like I know that you stepped into a career or a profession where it was male dominant. So how did that affect your outlook on things?
As far as dating, I I didn't struggle with self-esteem like, I didn't want to present myself or be out there. I just never gave it that much thought. If I had a boyfriend, great. If I didn't, great. I didn't have a boyfriend when I went to my senior prom. One of my friends took me. So I would never, I never had, men or boys just coming after me. And that was okay because I was
Hmm.
all about my books. The first real boyfriend that I had was in college. And I'm thankful to him for so many reasons. He knew my sisters very well, and we were getting dressed to go somewhere. And I told him that story about my dad and just telling him, what he said. And he took me to the mirror and he stood behind me. He said, "Look at yourself." He said, "I have the utmost respect for your father." He said, "But he got it wrong." He said, "Look at your skin." And he made me look at every part of myself. And he said, "You are absolutely beautiful. And don't you forget it." That shifted my whole mindset and just built me up in such a way that even though I looked different and I wasn't light skinned, I didn't have the long hair, I had the short, kinky hair that wouldn't grow for whatever reason, but it just wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, I just had hair issues, but he poured that into me, and I believed it. I believed it. So it took just that one person to pour into me in an area that was empty, but I was functioning with it empty. I was okay. I didn't worry about how I looked. I took care of myself, but I wasn't, the beauty was the furthest thing from my mind. So it's ironic that I would be pouring into women and making them feel beautiful and doing makeup and eyebrows and skincare and all of that. So, like I said, God just has a way of flipping that thing. So that's, as far as the dating. Yeah, that's how that happened. And I
Yeah,
never
thank you for sharing that. I think it's interesting how like certain types of people will come into your life and change a direction or come into your life and speak life into you.
hmm
And I think it's amazing that this particular guy that you were dating at the time saw the beauty in you, the inner beauty, the outer beauty in you. And I think so many women sometimes have this self doubt about themselves or self shame about themselves, and they may be looking for that maybe like affirmation from someone else and things like that when it was already there, already inside of you. It was truly inside of you. You know what I mean?
hmm
So I'm so happy that this guy was man enough to talk to you and let you know, like, baby, you beautiful. You don't need to worry about
Yes,
any of these things. You know what I mean? I think that was pretty
absolutely.
cool.
That did that changed my whole perception. And I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have a negative perception of myself, but it just added a layer of confidence that I could walk into a room and feel worthy and feel beautiful in my own skin. So that's when that started. And that was like at 19 or 20 years old. So yeah, I am thankful for him for doing that. I'll never
Abs-
forget him. Never forget him.
Absolutely. So, as a woman, can you tell me a little bit about your mom and your journey and what role she played in your life?
Oh, wow. When she passed away at 23, that was the first time I thought of committing suicide
Mm.
because I just felt like I could not make it without her. She taught me so much, but she didn't teach me how to navigate through life without her. And I'm 55. I was 23 when she passed away, and you can see I still get emotional about it because she was my rock. That was one of the lowest seasons in my life, and I had just started dental school. And we were at the same guy that spoke over me in college. We were at a Christmas dance. I'll never forget it. December 15th. We got a call from the hospital. She had breast cancer, and she wasn't going to make it.
Hmm.
So we went, we were at her bedside, but my life was never the same after that. I wanted to quit dental school, but I could hear her voice calling me Chocolate Drop. That was her name. Okay, come on, Chocolate Drop. You got this. You got this. You can do this. So Chocolate Drop had to keep going, through the tears, through the grief, through not understanding life, through being mad at God. I just had to keep going. But books and knowledge was always my saving grace. After she passed, I stayed on the dean's list because that was my coping mechanism, just to learn, read, grow more, just more education. So that is how I got through that. That was one of the roughest seasons in my life.
Wow, you're a strong woman.
Ah!
You're a strong woman. You know, I still have my mom and dad, right? And but now they live in Jamaica, so they're not
Mhm,
relatively close to me. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So it's not like a quick trip where I could go and see them or do something like that. And they're up there in their 70s now, you know. And I just think how important it is with your parents in your life. And you lost your mom at a very young age,
mhm.
and it seemed like you created some coping mechanism to deal with going through this extremely tough situation. And it sounded like you had a good surrounding around you that was help bolstering you standing side by side with you to help you get through this.
That's
Um,
true. That's true, Michael. God is so faithful. Even though my mom passed away when I was 23, he put women in my life in the form of mentorship
mhm.
that helped me grow into womanhood, that taught me how to be a wife, that taught me responsibility, that taught me business, that took the place of things that my mother would have taught me had she still been here. So mentorship to me is extremely important. Mentorship saved my life. Mentorship helped me evolve into the woman that I am now. So it's been the women that have come into my life for a season to pour into me, to take me to the next level. And that's what's gotten me to where I am now.
Mentorship has led us to this conversation here because we both signed up for
Listen, listen. Whoa, love my mentor. Yes, and Pastor Smith, I have to give it up for him. Definitely. Love him, love him, love him.
Absolutely. Um, wow. So you dealt with some grief. You dealt with some tragedies that led up to like your 20s. Did you ever have any like thought of like unforgiveness or anything around that leading up to that particular point in your life with all of those experiences that you had?
Oh, absolutely. Unforgiveness was one of the things that I have battled in several instances in my life.
Hmm.
The first time was with my father. I dealt with unforgiveness, the way he treated us, the way he treated my mother, how he ran through his retirement when all my mother wanted was a new house. She raised his children, her children, the neighbor's children. There was always room for one more in my house. She just had that type of heart. And the only thing that she asked for in life, she said, I just don't want to die in this small little house. Well,
Mm.
when he got his retirement, he blew it, bought boats and campers and things that he wanted, and he never got my mother the house that she wanted. And I was so angry at him. So I dealt with unforgiveness, and me getting close to God helped me get through that. Because now she has her mansion, so she's living the life that she always wanted to live on the other side. But I was really angry at him, and I thought that was so selfish of him not to give her that one thing that she's ever asked for, was a new home. So that was the first time I dealt with unforgiveness, and it goes on and on and on. So as we get deeper in the conversation, I can tell you more about unforgiveness and how I overcame that.
Wow. So it seems like there was a good bit of pattern with unforgiveness, some grief. Were there any like pivotal moments or other times in your life where you were dealing with something similar to loss or grief in your family or suicide or anything like that as well?
Yes. One of the losses that really changed my life, and I may have to fast forward and then back up, was the loss of my first child.
Mm,
My husband and I, we had tried several times to conceive, and I had fibroids. I had surgeries to get those removed, and finally we had a successful pregnancy, and I carried her for 22 weeks. And I'm not a sickly individual. I got my blood pressure went sky high. I was swelling and retaining fluid. Long story short, he had to make a decision in the hospital. Do we take the baby, who may not survive, because if we keep the baby and let your wife continue with this pregnancy, she may not survive.
wow.
So he had to make a decision, and he said, I don't care what you do, you save my wife.
Wow.
So I gave birth to Aaliyah Joy Robertson, and I didn't get to see her because I was under deep anesthesia. I have pictures of her little body and her little face next to mine. She was the spitting image of my husband. He got to hold her. She lived a couple of hours. She was just too tiny to
Mm,
intubate and try to keep alive.
mm,
And I left the hospital with a beautiful purple box with her blanket and her little outfit that they took pictures in, her hospital band. And that was the baby that I left the hospital with. I didn't understand that. Where other women were leaving holding their child, I left with a box. And we had her cremated. I still have her ashes. She would have been 18 this month.
mm.
So, yeah, she's just my little angel. She's just my little angel. So, that was a grief. Anytime a mother loses a child, I don't care if it's at 22 weeks or 22 years old. That's a pain that you can't describe. And only God can heal you from something like that. That's just one story.
Wow. Okay, so you have a daughter that could have been 18 this
Yeah.
year, and you was harboring that for a lot of times, and I know that could have been extremely emotional, or was extremely emotional for
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
and your husband. You know what I mean? Because both of you guys were going through that. Um, I've I have family members or friends that I know that have shared some stuff with me about like thyroids and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
how those have such a significant impact in regards to the birth of a child.
Mm-hmm.
And I never knew um, so much about it until it was affecting me myself closely. So to hear that, like I am deeply saddened to hear that, because you know that's death. You know what I mean? And especially when that child is coming out of you, a new creation. And yeah, I just think that's extremely tough, and I applaud you for that. Because I know that could lead to a deep state of depression, deep press
Mm-hmm.
of some grief, some guilt, or whatever it may be that you could be dealing
Yes.
with at that time.
Yes, I definitely went through grief because what could I have done? What did I do wrong? What's going
Hmm.
on with my body? What's wrong with me?
Hmm.
I went through guilt and grief and anger and confusion. So that was a long healing process for me. But God is faithful because
Amen.
4 years later, we have our beautiful Angelica, so and she takes the cake. So she's oh my God. So, but he's faithful. He is so faithful. So,
Amen.
yes.
So, speaking of that, so tell me a little bit now about like your husband. Tell me a little about your family that you have now. They've been on this journey with you. They've been on this ride with you. You know what I mean? So tell me a little about that. And was there any challenges or anything around that that our audience could know or learn about your experiences with relationships and raising kids or anything like that?
Yes. I am also a relationship and sexuality coach.
Hmm.
That has come in handy in my Let me tell you, you almost can't miss me when you talk about different adversities. I've kind of dabbled in a lot of things that can really help a lot of people. But yes, I have the honor and the privilege of marrying my best friend. I've had a crush on Mr. Rick Robertson since I was 12 years old. He didn't like me then because again, I was chocolate drop. It was, you had to be light skinned and long hair, but it's like, okay, how you like me now? So I had a crush on him. We went to the same college. We dated on and off, but we really got serious when I finished my residency at Howard University. That's when he kind of got his life together and said, "Hey, I want to settle down with this woman." So we eloped on January 1st, and then we had a big wedding on April 15th. So we have two anniversaries, and I make sure we celebrate both of them. Trust me. So we've had a marriage. And when I say a marriage, it's been ups, it's been downs, it's been ins and outs. And when you say those vows for better or for worse, for richer, for poor, sickness, and in health, you better mean it because we have been through all of that.
Mm,
And one of the lowest points in our marriage was when he was having some legal battles
mhm,
and legal battles that I knew nothing about, which tells you that my focus was off in my home. I was so busy practicing and making money, I wasn't aware that my husband was going through something so serious. So
mm.
fast forward, went through this 13, 14-month public trial on television, FBI agents in my front yard, news reporters following me around. It was horrendous. So he had to go away for 36 months.
Wow.
Those 36 months was hell for me. I was a single mom, and I did not know how to navigate my household by myself. I tried to keep his businesses going and my businesses going. The court had ordered me to pay all of his legal bills. So my savings was going down to nothing. My home was going into foreclosure. I mean, I was behind on everything. Again, another thought of suicide because I did not see a way out. And my daughter Angelica was my lifesaver. No toddler should have to get tissue and pat your eyes and say, "Mama, it's going to be okay. Mama, we going to be okay. Mama, we going to be okay." And I mean, this happened. She was my life. She was my life. So if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would be here because I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want to. It was just too hard.
When we talk about adversity, you have been through the gauntlet. Woman, you have been through the gauntlet. Um, I think your daughter came into your life at the perfect time.
God makes no mistakes.
Makes no mistakes.
None.
She came into your life at the perfect time.
Mhm.
I applaud you for that. You know how many women that could have been in your situation, your circumstances, and pretty much 36 months, 3 years. You know what I mean? That's 3 years. Those are some pivotal times in your daughter's life. Those are some pivotal times in your life. You had a business going. He had a business going. Obviously, I think about when you get into a relationship and a marriage, right? I assume when we come together that we're going to say finances are going to cover these bills, this
Mhm.
mortgage, these
Mhm.
cars, all
Mhm.
these things.
Mhm.
And now it's just down to one person. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
now
Mhm.
you're trying to leverage that
Mhm.
and tie all of your emotions into these things because now you got to pull your resiliency out of these different pockets now and being mentally tough and all that fortitude that you're building yourself.
Mhm.
So when I say that, like I could tell that you built up that mental mindset, that mental fortitude, all from all these experiences and things like that, because you could have easily folded. You thought about suicide, but you didn't. You
Yeah.
thought about a whole bunch of other things, but you didn't cave into that. So I
Right.
applaud you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. And during that time, of course, I'm still trying to keep our family together. We were a blended family. I never call him my stepson, but just for the sake of definition, my
Mhm.
bonus baby, I was still trying to keep us together. And every week I would get on the road at like 3 o'clock in the morning and drive 9 hours to see him so that he and Angelica could continue their relationship. And nobody knew about that. Nobody knew that I was getting her, changing her diapers on the side of the road and being there and seeing him staying in these hotels and then driving back home. So it was a lot.
Mm,
It was a lot. So, but yeah, like I said, God is good. He is so good. I don't see how people can get through life without having that relationship. Because even with him in your life, you still feel like giving up. You still feel like giving up. But he's that strength. He is that
absolutely.
strength. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's jump in a little bit to your career here. So like I know that you said that you were one of few females in the oral and maxillofacial surgeon profession.
Hmm.
So if you could tell us a little bit about that career that you were in, because I know that you retired. So what led to that and what happened?
I followed in my brother's footsteps. He was a dentist, and I wanted to go into cosmetology like my mother, but she said, no, follow behind your brother and, have a better life for yourself. So I did that. Once I got to dental school, I saw that I loved surgery. So I did another 4-year residency at Howard Hospital in oral and maxillofacial surgery and had a wonderful 20-year career as an oral surgeon.
Hmm.
When I started practicing in 1998, there were only two Black female oral surgeons in Texas. One was in Lubbock and I was in Dallas. And she has been my role model since I decided to go into surgery. So it was a very rewarding career, but I was intimidated by my career. When I would go to meetings and it would just be a sea of all of white men, just a sea of white men. And then I would walk in, I would sit in the back, I wouldn't, show up as my authentic self, knowing that I deserved to be in the room. I did the same training. I was a great surgeon, but something about me just didn't have that level of confidence. And I'll tell you really quickly how that changed. I was at a meeting, and this was 10 years into my practice, and I was looking at some anesthesia equipment. And the young lady that was selling it, she was telling me, she said, okay, she was teaching me how to do it. And she said, now, when you go back to your office, you can have your doctor, as if I was an assistant, you can have your doctor show you how to do this. And the doctor will administer this medication, and the doctor will intubate the patient. And so I was like, and I was just letting her do her whole spiel. And she said, okay, what doctor do you work for?
Mm.
So I introduced myself, and I practiced by my maiden name. I said, well, I'm Dr. Faith Oliver. I'm an oral and maxillofacial surgeon, and I practice in Dallas, Texas. And she turned beet red, and she was so
Check this.
apologetic. And I said, no, sweetheart. I said, you don't owe me an apology. I owe you an apology, because I should have walked up to you and told you who I was, rather than giving you the opportunity to put me in a box and you have a thought of who I was. That's my fault, and it will never happen again. That day forward, I never looked back. I was always in the front of the room. I always had my name tag on. I was introducing myself. I stood up for myself, because if you don't, people will put you in a box and they will define you. You have the responsibility to define yourself and command the level of respect that you deserve. That changed my life.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, that changed my life.
I'm glad that you did that too. I think a lot of times we sell ourselves short in regards to all of the things that we have earned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think I read this book, and the book is called Stuck on Ready. And the book talks about the law of deservability. You deserve all of these things that are coming your way, and you should never shy away from it.
Mm-hmm.
You deserve to be successful. You deserve to have finances in abundance and all these things. It's already been written. You deserve all these things. So I want to transition a little bit here. So obviously, you've been through a lot. You've been through some things with your dad. You've been through some loss in your family, with your mom, your daughter, some experiences with your husband, some things in your career, and you could have easily bottle all these things in, bottle all of these emotions, and so on and so forth. And what I've picked up throughout this conversation is that you're an extremely, extremely, extremely resilient woman. Um, I want to ask you this question: how did you? What are some tools? What are some skills? What were some pivotal points in your life that you chose to say, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to have this life of abundance. I'm going to have this life of purpose. I'm going to live my life to the fullest. I'm going to step out on faith. No pun intended. But what was this pivotal moment in your life? Yeah, tell us a little about that.
There are a couple of them. The first one was when my husband came home. I was one angry, bitter Black woman when he came home. Yes, I was glad to have my husband home, but then I was like, okay, you broke me, so it's your responsibility to fix me. So I was bitter. I was angry. I was just, everything was his fault, his fault. I lost all my money because of you. My money, my money, just selfish. I lost all my money that I worked for because of your mistake. It was just not a healthy situation. I got to the point where I said, okay, and this went on for months. This went on for months, but I got sick of my own self,
Mm.
because nobody is coming to save you. So I had to wake up. Nobody is coming to save you, girlfriend. That is your responsibility. Your happiness depends on you. So you have got to get it together, stop blaming him, and stop trying to hire him for a position that he is not even qualified for. You are going to have to pick yourself up. So sometimes we have to look in the mirror and say, girlfriend, it's you. Let's get it together. So that was the first pivotal thing in my life where I said, okay, I have to make some changes. I got down on my face. I repented. I went to my husband. I apologized. I asked for his forgiveness. I asked for his help for me to turn my life around and be the person that I knew that I was created to be. I was not this angry, selfish, bitter, spoiled brat that was just blaming him for everything. I knew that I had power. I just wasn't using it. So that was the first time that I turned my life around. Well, few years after that is when God said, okay, it's time for you to hang up oral surgery. I wasn't ready for that one. No, I wasn't ready for that one. So I went, but I was reluctant. I was reluctant because I didn't have any blueprint as to what I was supposed to do next. He had been speaking to me while I was practicing, go get my daughters, go get my daughters. And I didn't quite understand that, but I was like, okay. So I was doing speaking engagements and in-home group sessions with women, but he had this on a bigger scale. But I didn't know how to navigate through it. I didn't know how to do it. But he said, hang up oral surgery. And I'll tell you, when you take that first step of faith, pun definitely intended, when you take that first step, I'll start opening doors for you. And that's what happened. And that's how I left private practice, out of obedience. Not because I was rich and ready, out of obedience. It was time to move into my next season.
Amen. I love how you grab life and you just grabbed it by the hands of like, you're coming with me. We're gonna do this. There's no turning back. I was like, that's amazing. That's amazing. So it seems like you went through a good phase there of like self-discovery and your self-worth and knowing that I'm at this pivotal moment in my life and you've always been in a leadership role in a leadership position, but now you're you're taking hold of that and now you're saying I'm going to lead in another way in another direction,
Mhm.
and take all of these life lessons, all of these things that I've gained, and I'm going to pour that into something else. So I want to ask you, what inspired you to become a life transformational coach, and how has that made an influence in your life, and how do you apply that to like your coaching style and your approach to like working with women and things like that?
That's a great question. I have been coaching for years, even in practice, even with my staff. I think it's something that comes naturally to me. But God would have me go get specific certifications, like I said, in relationship and sexuality, and become a chaplain. And I just recently, this is huge. This is huge, was ordained in the office of a prophet. God is not playing. He is not playing, but he is putting all this together so that I can take everything that I have been through and pour it into women because they are going through the same struggles. They're having the same self esteem issues. They're having the same unforgiveness and bitterness and pain and not knowing their direction and not knowing, can't speak up for themselves. So that's what Elevation Now is built upon. It's built upon all of my life lessons, everything that I've gone through, everything that I have grown through to be the woman that I am today, so that I can take other women by the hand and lead them. Like I said, you can't miss me on something that you're going through. God took me through it because there's no way that I can raise up another woman if I can't connect with her. So he took me through these things so that I can connect with you. I can connect with relationship issues. I can connect with financial losses. I can connect with the fear of a career change. I can connect with low self-esteem. I can connect with it. Loss of a child, all of that, loss of parents, grief. I can connect with it. So that is my superpower. My pain has become my superpower.
I'm not sure if you realize this, but as you're saying all those things and all of these doors that was opening up for you, like you were putting a whole bunch of things inside of your toolbox. And now it's like your toolbox, you like a Ginsu ninja. Like you can just start whipping it out. Whatever you need, I got you. I got you. You go
Exactly.
through this, I got this for you.
Exactly, Michael. And in such a way, I'm still doing surgery. I just have
Absolutely, you're
I just
right.
have different tools, but you still gonna get healed. I might have to cut you, but you still gonna get healed. So God has a sense of humor, at the end of the day. I swear.
That's a fact.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I did want to touch on something here as we get into elevation now.
Uh-huh.
I'm a big advocate for reading, and I wanted to ask you. I know you've written a lot of books, so if you would tell me a little bit about some of the books that you have read yourself, and I
Okay.
would like for you to tell me a little bit about all of the books that you've written as well too.
Wow. Okay. The first book that I wrote is here, over here, called Speaking by Faith. I
Hmm.
wrote that while I was still in practice, and it's on the premise of watching what we say and what we're speaking over our lives. It's 30 declarations designed to help you overcome negative emotions. So I wrote that one. I have two manuscripts that are unpublished. The first one is My Father Calls Me Butterfly. That
Hmm.
is a book on relationship with God. It's just my whole journey, my testimony of how I developed a relationship with God that is so close that he calls me by my nickname. So he calls me Butterfly. The other one is developing the mindset of a conqueror. I do a weekly motivational Monday mindset. And I took about 70 of those and I put them in a book form. So it's developing the mindset of a conqueror. So that those two manuscripts have yet to be published. I have a couple of ebooks out called, one of them is called Fear of What, and that is overcoming fear. I am finding that women in general are not stepping out and doing the things that they're called to do because of fear. So I'm tackling that head on. And because I still have my mother's genes in me and I still have that cosmetology gene running through me, I also have my own skincare line. So my other ebook is on the premise of living beautifully you. And that just talks about self-care and beauty and makeup, skincare, just aging gracefully. So those are the 5 books that I have under my belt so far. And I'm sure I'm not done.
Thank you, thank you. Where could people actually find these books at?
Um, Fear of What and Living Beautifully You are both on Amazon, and they can get Speaking by Faith from barnesandnoble.com, or they can get it off of my website, speakingbyfaith.com. And when they join the program, the Elevation Now, that's actually module 3. It's called Speaking by Faith, and that book is a required read. So, yeah, those are the ways that they can get it.
Nice, nice. So, as you're a coach and you're helping lead women in your program, I wanted to ask you on your journey as well too. Who is it, or what was that person, or what program was it that you imparted into your life on your journey to become a coach as well? As it was there any mentorship programs? Was there a women's group, or did you have a mentor yourself that was pouring into you as well too?
It was through my own personal mentorship. Again, like my mom died when I was 23. So right around that time, God sent another woman into my life. Her name is Dr. Kathy Moffitt, and she poured into me. And again, it's been woman after woman after woman that have given me the tools that I need to evolve into who I am today. So that is why mentorship is so important to me. And I act as a mentor to young girls as well. So definitely that just kind of created the foundation of mentorship and the importance of it and the role that I can play in leading another woman into embracing her greatness.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hmm.
So let's jump into elevation now a little bit deeper. So, how does this program help women overcome adversity, unique challenges, and to be a little bit more specific in regards to like their own personal lives, their careers, their relationship, or their own personal development?
And again, another great question, because Elevation Now, I had to change the title. It's a life transformation course because it does transform the woman from the inside out. I deal with mindset, with your word choices, speaking by faith. I deal with your relationships. We do relationship inventory. We go inside and heal. There's forgiveness. There's a section on forgiveness. There's a section on letting go. I do an exercise where they burn their past, and then we move into the external. I have gotten the help of an image consultant So we have the things that every woman should have in her closet. I talk about makeup. I do a makeup tutorial video in the program. So by the time that woman that starts this program, when she finishes, she is like a butterfly that has come out of the cocoon. She is ready to take on the world. And Elevation Now is on 4 pillars: wake up, show up, step up, and speak up. Because I want our women to find their voice and tell their story and impact lives and get out there and then make some money. When you open your mouth and when you show up for yourself, people will pay you for that. So, yes, once they finish Elevation Now, everything in their life is going to go to the next level. I guarantee it.
Thank you. So where can people learn and find out more about Elevation Now?
Elevation Now will officially, I have students that are in the program and I'm so excited. I'm getting testimonials. Elevation Now will officially launch in about a couple of weeks. I'm doing a speaking engagement and Elevation Now will officially launch on April 14th. But they can go to my site, Speaking by Faith, and there's a form that you can fill out. We can have a consultation. You can jump on my schedule. We can have a coaching call. There's an 800 number. You can get to me that way. You can inbox me. Anyway, my earring's falling off, and that's okay. We're going to keep right on
Okay.
going. We're going to keep it right on going. There's several ways that you can get in contact with me. Inbox me. We can talk about it. Again, people have enrolled just from emailing me and want to know more about it. I do little sessions called Girls Night In, where I teach from Elevation Now. So you can join in on a Girls Night In, get a snippet of Elevation Now, and you can join right then. And that's what I've had women do, and they are loving it. Part of Elevation Now is a group coaching. So there are 2 tiers. You can get the program itself, or you can get the program with group coaching. So I'm doing some group coaching with women, and I love that because I can tailor make these sessions and really dive in and help these women elevate their lives and take them to the next level.
Wow. If I was a woman, I'd probably join the program. Sounds amazing.
'Cause I got you. Trust me, I got you.
But so on a serious note, it sounds like an amazing program, and I wanted to ask this question for our listeners. So
Mhm,
I know a lot of times people is going to go check reviews, they're going to check testimonials, and I know that you're saying it's officially going to be launched next month.
mhm.
But by word of mouth or just by you speaking up and all these other things, and I see you on social media talking about your company, talking about your products and things like that. You've already had people enroll into your program and just wanted to be next to you so you could just pour into them. If you don't mind, tell us a success story or something that happened, or give us a story of what's been going on so far in the program.
Oh my gosh. Michael, I love seeing women win. Their win is my win. So when I see a woman that I have worked with, excuse me, find her voice and start speaking and doing things that God has told her to do, that is just a joy for me. I did a girls' night in, and we were talking about fear, and one of the young ladies just and I started to speak prophetically over her. I said, your voice is being silenced, but God wants
Mm.
you to speak up. So I started to giving her just some nuggets from Elevation Now, and just right before my eyes, she just kind of woke up. I let her have the floor, and she just started to pour out, and I just let her speak as God would lead her, and just little things like that. Just seeing a woman find the courage to speak up and say what's on her heart, say what God has put into her to say. And that was just a little, just maybe 30 seconds of just me pouring into her from Elevation Now. And the stories just keep coming in, how it's given them confidence and they're no longer afraid and they want to go out and pursue their passion. And some of them have even found their passion. They came in confused and didn't know, but I took them through some steps to help them realize this is what you were created to do. It's a difference between being trained in something and being called to something. So women are finding their calling coming through Elevation Now. Women are learning how to set boundaries. They're learning how to say no. They're learning how to put themselves first and not feel bad about it. So the testimonies just keep rolling in, keep rolling in, keep rolling in. And I am excited about it. Definitely.
All right, so I gotta ask this question then. So this sounds like a program where like you're building a fascinating community.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you this. When someone comes into Elevation now, what is that journey like and what is that community like? Is it like a 90-day program? Is it whole year program, or is it a lifetime program that they get to work with you and you just have continuous thing developing within that program?
Okay. When they come into the program, they join the Elevated Elite Society.
Mhm.
And that is where they have access to me on a monthly basis. The online course itself is a 6-week course, and that will vary. It just depends on how committed the student is to the course. Again, they are a member of the society, and that just comes with a bunch of bells and whistles. And I'm doing a conference in October, Elevation Now, the Gathering. So they
Mhm.
are automatically invited to Elevation Now, the Gathering. So anything that I do, when you join the Elevated Elite Society, you become a member of my tribe, and anything that I'm doing, you are VIP. You get first access. You get first dibs on anything that I'm doing. So that's just one of the perks of when they come into Elevation Now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.
So as we get ready to get out of here, we've spoken about your background and you shared with us tons of adversities that you've been through. And then I really love your story and you also just telling us like I had to impart all of these things and come to these pivotal moments in my life to change who I was to who I am now today and as I continue to grow. And now you're a businesswoman, successful businesswoman, leaving a professional career to run an elevation now, which I know will be amazing, is amazing. Like I told you, I'm gonna highly recommend this to a lots of female friends that I do have. I want to ask you, Dr. Faith, what is it? What are some key takeaways from your life journey, from your life experiences that you want our listeners to hear? You could speak specifically to women. There's other guys that's going to be listening to that's going to have girlfriends, they're going to have wives, they're going to have daughters, they're going to have nieces. What is it that you want to impart into these women and share with them based off your life experiences and what has God has done in your life?
Oh, there's so many, but I'll give just a few. Always know that you're not alone. You're not the only one suffering from the things that are going on in your life. There's always someone who is battling the same thing, because the enemy will try to get you by yourself and isolate you. And that is when he does his greatest work, is when he has you alone and he starts speaking those lies. And because you don't have anybody to depend on or to counteract what he's saying, then you start to believe it. So always know that you're not by yourself, and don't isolate yourself. Call on someone, lean on someone, get a coach, get a mentor, get someone who has walked your journey and who can save you some time and save you some heartache, that can take you by the hand and lead you in the way that you are supposed to go. It's not easy out there. We cannot do this by ourselves. So definitely don't ever let the enemy isolate you, and don't ever let the enemy make you think that you are less than, or that you're the only one going through something. There's always someone that you can depend on. Don't be afraid to call on someone. Don't be afraid to call on me. That's what we are here for. Strengthen your relationship with God. You cannot do anything without Him, period. Not
That's
adding
right.
anything, not taking anything away. God has to be your number one source. And those are just a few things just to get you over the hump. But as far as having a coach and a mentor, that's crucial. That's crucial. That's life changing.
Wow, thank you for those inspirational words, Dr. Faith. I'm so thankful and blessed to have you coming on our platform, bless the stage. I know that the words that you spoke and your experience is going to make a tremendous impact to our listeners today and for years to come. I know that many women is going to be dealing with some of these things that you've already been through and what you're going through, and just to see that transformation in you and how you
Mhm.
overcame these adversities and just to become resilient and to just continue to move forward and put your faith in God, I think it's tremendously going to make an impact in people's lives. So I just want to tell you, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you. I know we got tons of things that we're going to be doing in the future. We've spoken about the retreat, as I think that's something that I think that we could partner on together and help impact some women's lives through the Adversity Academy. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yay, I love it. I love it. I love it. This has been so wonderful. And this has been um almost like just a refreshing moment with you. And I cannot thank you enough for having me on here, for even sharing your platform and helping so many people. You are going to touch nations. So I'm so thankful to be a small part of your big thing. And I'll be praying for you definitely.
Thank you so much, guys. As we get ready to close out here, make sure you follow Dr. Faith on all social media platforms. Speak by Faith. You can follow me at I am Michael Allison on all social media platforms as well. You could subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to our Twitter, our Instagram, our LinkedIn, and our Facebook groups. If you want to be a part of the Academy, or if you want to work with Dr. Faith with the Elevation Now program as well. Until next time, guys, we release episodes every Friday. So we just want to tell you thank you for tuning in. We love you guys. Peace.
Can't complain at all. Couple dollars in my pocket, no income and go. Been working on my body, getting healthier. Thank God for clarity.